right, welcome to the September 18th meeting of the Waterboro Planning Board. Our first appointment tonight is with Mr. George Kando from Lake Arrowhead. He's requesting setback reduction. Mr. Kando, would you like to just fill us in on what you're up to? Step up to the podium.
You guys all have the plot plans and all that stuff?
If you do.
I own this lot 1631. I purchased it in, I think, 1995 or 1996. It always is a plan to retire or somewhere to go on, but I've had people offer to purchase the property at some points in the time, and over the course of the time that people were said it was not buildable, which when I bought it, it was buildable and passed the septic test. So someone had been disseminating. So I went and did the research and got a survey done. And this is the only envelope that apparently will fit, even though the measurements in the town are differ from the tax maps and differ from the actual measurements that the surveyor came up with. And this is the plot that we came up with that would fit in within the 100-foot setback from the water.
So you're asking to go down to 9 feet. Is that from the edge of the right-of-way or from?
It's from my lot line, and that is not, that the road is actually, on this survey, is the red.
That dotted line?
But they have a right-of-way 25 feet from the center of the road either way to do their water work and all that stuff. So it's actually a little further than, it's probably, the line's probably here, but they, like Arrowhead is saying that they own, but they don't own, they have a right-of-way to go to the property line.
So it's to the edge of the right-of-way?
Yes. So the between pin and pin is approximately 9 feet off the road, and then another 9 feet is the setback. So it's actually 18 feet from where the road is if you were driving down the road. So, but it's, yeah.
Well, you're showing on this plan right now that the house is 24 by 36. Is that the foundation or is that the actual house?
That's it. I didn't have, I don't have plans built up. I just put on, I had him put a fairly, a standard size house that would fit in that spot. So it's just the foundation. I guess it would be the foundation.
If that would be the case, if you're asking for 24 by 36 for a foundation, the actual house size would be bigger than that. And I didn't know if you realized that or not, but you couldn't put a foundation 24 by 36 and meet the setbacks that you're saying if these setbacks are accurate.
Well, then that would be the entire. I'm just saying that a regular house. I wasn't doing it right.
Because your overhangs stick out, the central meter box, porches, decks, all this stuff counts as part of the structure.
Yeah, I put a entranceway off the driveway there, just a regular stair and an entranceway, and yeah, like I said, I'm not trying to get an overhang onto the road or anything like that. I don't want to even be this close to the road. Yeah. This is what they said I had to come up with to meet the requirements.
Now, we have a letter from the Board of Trustees of Lake Arrowhead. Did you receive that letter?
Yes, I did.
All right. So just for the public record, this Board of Trustees is requesting that we disapprove this reduced setback request because they feel that it would set a precedent that would be counterproductive to their vision of the community. So that's the same letter that you received?
Yes, it is. That was precipitated by, I called Scott, I can't remember his name. Scott Davis, up to ask him where exactly the road started and where it ended, because they granted permits and someone built right next door in the lot adjacent to me, and they basically clear cut it right down to the to the road. It's all sand. They put in tons of new fill. They moved my pin. Now my pin's up in a 12-foot high spot where they dumped wood chips and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So they've altered my lot in that respect. So I said, where is the actual pin? Because my other pin is 9 feet in from the road. So he goes, he's going back and forth. Well, that should be the same spot where your pin is. We just extended it with rebar and explained it. I said, well, now it doesn't. Now I can't tell how close to the road I am on the other one. And he goes, well, what are you looking for? And I said, well, I'm going to the planning board. And he ran right to the Board of Trustees, and he was trying to tell me that someone else got a setback from the water on the other side. So we said, you should go for that. Well, I said, I was told I can't get a setback from the water unless there's no other alternative.
Right.
Yeah, so he just decided to make it difficult. And you know, because I called him just to ask him, because I'm doing the lot pinning. And the next day I had the letter in my hand, you know. So,
Have you notified abutters?
yes.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, he did get it. He provided that.
Any response? Whatever.
You're an abutter.
What are
How do
the
you feel?
sideline setbacks?
It's village, it's,
Yeah, no, I don't have my
I
phone.
got my book here.
Village
I think
residential,
it's 20 feet,
Front,
20.
20.
20,
20 side and 40 front, right? Yeah.
40 front.
They're objecting to.
They're objecting to
The setback.
changing the setback.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Kando?
You started saying something about the survey you had done doesn't match the survey that Arrowhead
Well,
has.
we've had discussions at the town that we go by the master survey that's in the office. From the point on the survey that you guys have, they didn't find the pin on the long side, but they found the pin on by the water, and there's a pin here. The surveyor said there's 31 more feet to the water from that pin.
From this one down here by the water.
Yeah,
On the short
yeah.
side.
On the short side. And he goes, probably more, but I don't know where the exact pin is. Do you know what I mean? He just measured it from the road pin down. But we measured it, and it came out to be over 150 feet. And the tax map says 147, so I would imagine that's the high water mark, what they call the high
Tax
water.
maps are, tax maps are not official.
Well, either way, we actually measured it. We went out there and measured all the pins, pin to pin.
And we go by an ordinary walk, we don't go by a 100-year floodline? Huh.
No, I wasn't.
You want to hear from an abutter?
Yeah, actually, if they could tell me who they are, just so I can.
Excuse me?
I just want to know your name for the
My
record.
name is Tim McGinnis, I'm lot 1630.
Okay?
Yes. I bought my lot 3 or 4 years ago, and this lot 1631 was for sale at the same time by George Kando.
Excuse me for a second, would you guys mind trading places here? Just so the folks at home get it too. So you own the lot next to
So I
it?
own lot 1630, and I was under the understanding that lot 1631 was for sale as well. And I wanted to buy them both because they were two small lots. In Lake Arrowhead, if you buy abutting lots under the same name, they automatically become conjoined.
Yep.
And cannot be separated, but you only pay the one association fee.
Yep.
And that's what I wanted to do. So I had a real estate agent, this Bailey Real Estate from Waterboro, and they negotiated the sales with the two owners. I gave both owners a $500 deposit, and I had to meet with this Dennis Finn from the Saco River Corridor Commission, and I had to hire a wetlands mapping specialist, who was this Ken Gardner, who also does septic design. The previous owner of lot 1630 had some type of a hardship variance that was for 65 feet from the water, but I think you people sent a notice to me that said, you know, it is expired and you cannot apply for it, it's no longer available. So we had to determine, they had to determine where the high water mark was and measure back from that, and then 40 feet from the road to see if there was a building envelope, and then see if there, you know, would sustain a septic system. So at their meeting, they determined that lot 1630 was deep enough, but that lot 1631 was not. And they felt that I would need a variance from the town and a variance from Saco River Corridor. So they said it's not buildable in its present state, and you'd have to jump through hoops to make it buildable.
By they, you mean the people that you hired to?
Yes,
investigate
right,
the
Dennis
lot?
Finn from the Saco River Corridor and Ken Gardner. So Ken Gardner drew a septic and perked and mapped and said 1630 will perk, and there is a building envelope there, so we pursued that. At that point, we called Mr. Kando and said, you know, we've been told that the lot is not buildable. And he said, well, you know, it depends on who you talk to, I guess. I said, well, I talked to somebody from the state and someone, you know, that's a wetlands mapping specialist, and they both agree that they don't think it's deep enough. So I called the code enforcement officer at the time, Patty Berry,
Yeah.
and she said, I agree, you need 2 variances to build on this lot. So I did not pursue it. I never got my $500 back. Fast forward 5 weeks ago, I got a letter from George Kando saying my lot's for sale. Would you be interested in buying it? And I called him and I said, you know, remember me from 3 or 4 years ago? We've already been through this. And I said, furthermore, I think you have $500 of my money. And he said, no, you forfeited that money because you bailed out at the 11th hour. And I said, we bailed out because, you know, the lot was being, you know, sold as a buildable lot, and we were told it's not. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I guess he should, you know, have the right to know. He's been paying taxes on it all this year. Is it buildable or is it not? I think there's a lot of other lots in Arrowhead that are questionable, where people have had them for years and they think they're paying the taxes and the association fee on them, only to find out, you know, 20 years later that they're not buildable. I think you know, the assessor and the building inspector and, you know, everybody else should get together and find out where these lots are, because they're taking these people's money every year, you know, and these people are under the assumption that if I'm paying the taxes, I have a buildable lot.
So you came in tonight to say that you researched that lot. We're told that it was not buildable.
Right. So this Patty Berry said, she said, I have people call every now and then asking about this lot and if it's for sale. And she said, I will email you a letter that I sent out to this woman who was asking about it. I've got a copy of the letter if you'd like to read it. And it just essentially says, you know, it says, I did not see how structure would be possible without reducing the shoreland setback. Again, I harbor no ill will towards Mr. Kando. I get my $500 back. He should have, you know, the right to either say it's buildable or it's not buildable. I wrote a couple of other things down here. On the plan I was sent, it shows the driveway design as approximately 15 by 25, based on the scale of the drawing, which would allow for 1 car. And I think in this day and age, you know, there's nobody that has 1 car. And they have a parking restriction in the winter in Lake Arrowhead, so you're not allowed to park on the right-of-way from November 1st to April 1st. So that would be an issue if someone were to build a house there and live there. You know, if you can't do anything behind that 100-foot setback, there's not a lot of parking. Looking at the lot from the road, when the road was cut or put in 50 years ago, there was a hill there and they just dozed through it. So there is an embankment about 12 feet high in front of that lot. Part of that was on my lot, and it was cut down over the course of probably 12 feet from about 10 feet to 0. If that were to be done on his side of the lot, you would be losing 10 or 12 feet of that lot width, or you would have to build a retaining wall 12 feet high. At some point, someone would have to cross that bridge and say, you know, on paper it looks like this is a driveway, but I mean, you're going to change the elevation 12 feet over the course of 25 feet. You'd have to do, you know, I don't know what are the rules as far as how steep an embankment can be, or what are the
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Would there be any need to have a retaining wall, because where your property is, they kind of flattened it right out the driveway?
Right, like I said, over the course of 10 or 12 feet.
I'd love to leave a privacy barrier.
I would too.
But you could have the driveway and still not come into the
Yeah, I mean, according to the scale, that's about 7 feet there.
Mhm.
So I'm saying, what is, you know, does the town have a code as far as how steep an embankment can be? Or how high a retaining wall can be? You know, if it's over 8 feet, does it have to have a engineered permit?
Well, there is,
I don't know
there
these
is room,
questions.
I talked to Ken Gardner as well, and he did my septic design, and he said there is room to move it with the grade and everything, you can move it 4 feet this way or 5 feet, but he goes, he's trying to give it plenty of room from the road, but there is room to slide it back, it's 32 feet from the pin.
I think these are the kind of details that you'd hash out if you were
Yeah,
able
with
to
the
move
building,
ahead and
but
build.
this is just this is for demonstration purposes, to show you where I'm planning, what's gonna do, like, if I had to move the house down 4 feet to get 4 feet or more driveway to meet codes, that's not a problem. Yeah.
You meaning by that, slide the house down closer towards the
You can't.
leach field? You can't because the land gets narrow with it.
Yep. This little square here is supposed to be
So
the,
I see
where
the
you're
house
telling
going
the
where the
driveway
house has to
being.
go.
Is that, what's this, I see where you got a little S in where the septic tank goes. What's this other one on the other side between your house and his lot? That little square. Is that where the driveway?
Driveway.
That's the driveway?
Driveway out. And Lake Arrowhead has an ordinance on driveways, and everybody's got 2 driveways out there, nobody has 1 car
It
anymore.
looks close to the lot
So
line.
there's a lot of things at play there. I also know Ken Gardner very well, because he's done about 200 septic systems for me, and he doesn't put them in lightly, he doesn't stamp the plan lightly. If he didn't think it was a buildable lot, I doubt he would, in my opinion, I
Yeah.
doubt, knowing Ken Gardner, like I do, if he thought he was in violation of anything, there's no way he'd be putting a stamp on there. This plot plan does have a stamp on it by an engineer, a licensed surveyor, saying that he can meet these setbacks.
On the septic.
He's not saying about the septic.
Gardner's
On
gonna
the
build a
shoreline.
house.
On the shoreland, as well as a setback from the road at 9 feet,
Steve Everett.
Where the
Which is not our setback.
setback.
which is not the
40.
setback, no.
Right.
But we have the right under our conditional use to change those setbacks if we choose
To a
to.
point.
But
to a
usually.
point.
To a reasonable point,
To a
usually
reasonable
15%.
point. And what is a reasonable
15%.
point? What's a reasonable return on your property?
What's it saying there? 15%.
Yes.
15%.
This is 75%.
Tom, do you want to weigh in on this at all, or
I have no
stay
further.
out of this? Thank you, Mr. Morris. All right.
Just here to listen. Just here to listen.
Right, I have no dog in this fight.
So in what section does it say 15%?
Front yard setback.
I didn't see that.
It says
Was that in
similar.
Patty, was that in Patty's letter?
Yeah, these don't match up. And this one, it's got the driveway on this side, septic in front of the house.
That's Mr. McGinnis.
Okay, this one next to it, okay.
Mr. Chairman, the only comment that I have for the board is that the board can make a judgment if it fits within your percentage of allowance for dimensional variance. Okay? If not, then it needs to go to another board. Because this board's not empowered by state law to handle that if it exceeds that percentage.
Yeah, it sounds like that's
Which
kind
would
of
be
the
the zoning board of
process.
appeals.
Exactly, and then get a variance where you
Yeah.
could actually move closer to the river.
Yeah. Because wouldn't this classify as undue hardship?
That'd be a determination that ZBA would have to
Yeah,
make.
they'd have to-
Okay.
The ZBA would have to make that determination.
I mean, just for the record, personally, we've gone as low as 10 feet on side setbacks. With the
On side-
neighbor's
side
consent.
setbacks, right.
On the side setback, but we've never gone below that for a side. And if we're limited by how much we can reduce a front setback, I think it's kind of a moot point myself.
15.
It says it should be kept to a minimum, and the recommendation for zoning board is 50%.
So you'd want to be
But
consistent.
in
on that.
reality, in 1972, when this was an approved subdivision, or whatever year Lake Arrowhead was, these were all buildable lots and sold as
But
such.
the water setback was also 75 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so none of this is really the applicant's fault in any way.
Oh,
Right,
Just
and the
no,
zoning
no,
board
no.
was-
victim
Shoreline
of
zoning
the
change.
municipalities and the state have come in and changed the rules, and He still pays his dues, he still pays his taxes.
And that's where the hardship comes in.
That's where the hardship comes in.
And so the letter, you're saying the letter from Lake Arrowhead is Butte?
No, I'm
No,
saying
they-
that Lake Arrowhead doesn't control what this board does.
They're just asking.
That's
No,
their person.
but you're talking about a precedent-setting change for a subdivision.
Right.
I'm not saying that I'm in favor of doing this, I'm just.
No, I didn't say that,
playing-
but I'm saying this is a precedent
This is a precedent setting.
setting
and
for
they-
a subdivision, and modifying a subdivision
Yes.
is not something I would think you would take lightly.
Yep. And that's fine, you
Yeah.
can take it whatever you want.
Could
I
I
have-
speak, could I speak again? Is that okay?
Sure.
Regarding Lake Arrowhead's, this is not a thorough, like I could see if it was on Old Portland Road or a major road, a throughway, that this might hinder them. This is a dead-ended circle that goes down another 100 feet from where my property line ends.
Right.
Right, so they're not going to be doing, any major turnpike construction or.
That's not really the point, and this is the only single lot on the whole cul-de-sac. All the rest of them are co-joined. This is the only single one. I think setting a 9-foot setback, and they don't like it, I think it needs to go another step besides zoning board of appeal. I think it's a modification of a subdivision. And that's certainly a big jump. I mean, these guys are saying in a letter they don't want it.
Then the ZBA could kick it back if they decided in the affirmative. If they decide in the negative, it becomes a moot point.
But make it a subdivision change is a major endeavor.
Why would it be
Right.
a subdivision
That's right.
change?
It's a precedent-setting change with the subdivision themselves saying they don't want it. Normally, the setback is not 9 feet.
Since when does a subdivision have anything to say about changing a subdivision?
Normally, they come in here to us wanting to change something, and we tell them it's a modification to a subdivision, and we tell them that we have to come back through and go through the whole process again. I doubt he wants to go through the whole process with Lake Arrowhead and changing setbacks. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand
You
what
know.
you're saying. I mean,
Would it be modification of the subdivision when they can join the lots? If there's 4 lots in the subdivision, those were the subdivision, they're in the plot map, but now they're all one lot because Limerick does it all the time. If you own 2 or 3 lots, they just make them one lot. Now that's modifying the
That happens all
subdivision.
over
But it doesn't-
town,
it
it's
doesn't-
not just in Arrowhead.
No, I'm saying, but is that's would be
But that doesn't change
modification.
the setback.
No, but it did modify the subdivision, no?
I think joining lots is not what I'm talking about.
It didn't change any lot lines.
You
It
didn't
didn't
change
change
lot
anything
lines.
at all. It did was join ownership.
We've got a couple other ones in town that are going from 9 lots
setbacks in
to 3
Waterboro
lots.
and Lake Arrowhead have been granted all the time,
We've got other ones at 9 feet.
not 9 feet.
I can't
But
remember.
there was one at 10 feet, you're saying?
Well, that's just
Side.
side.
Sideback.
Sideline.
I can't
Sideline.
remember
What's the-
another
what's
front
the
yard
closest thing you've
setback,
ever-
but there must.
Oh,
Over the years, it'd be 10 feet to a sideline.
And no, to the
Sideline.
front.
So
Oh.
my
Side.
question is, does it create a hazard or a nuisance or a problem for society? Is it, are we just because we don't like the number 9 feet, is that justifiable reason to turn it down? Or is it,
I've had a road commissioner sitting in here screaming because houses are too close to the road when they plow.
telephone poles are even closer?
They're gonna break your windows.
Judy?
I
Who's
can
gonna break
vouch
my
for
windows?
that.
I know what they do go by my
What
house.
happened?
Our house
Yeah.
had the windows broken all the time. No, I just feel that 15% is pretty much of a guideline that we've always used. And I just feel that this is way over that and that we probably, I don't feel the planning board has the right to grant
So
what
let's
I
say-
would
So if
call
it
a
passes the zoning
variance.
board of
I
Send it to
appeals.
the
think
zoning
that it
board of appeals,
should go to
that's
the
fine.
zoning board of appeals.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can I throw in my 2 cents? I said a minute ago.
Oh,
Well, give your
I
name.
don't have any dog in this fight.
Yeah, could you give your name for the
It's
record?
George's land. But
who are you, sir?
you made a statement that.
Could you
if
state your
one-
name, please?
Oh, my name is Stephen Kovacs. You said that these lots were buildable at one time.
It was approved subdivision, they were all buildable lots.
Right, and he bought a buildable lot.
No, there's 2 different words you just said.
Oh,
there.
okay,
When Lake Arrowhead was developed,
right,
there were no zoning.
okay.
The reason we have zoning in the state of Maine is because of Lake Arrowhead.
Okay,
That's what you get told every time you go to a training class in the state.
Okay.
They say, who's from Waterboro? So when those are in there, Were they buildable? Yeah, but there was no zoning. There was no, we didn't have to worry about that.
I can't say I fully understand that, but I think I understand one part. When the lot was purchased, not only him, but other people, they bought it and said, I'm good, I can build on this lot.
Sure.
Because I'm pretty sure common sense says, if they said these lots aren't buildable, most people say, I don't want to buy one. What good is it? I could stand on the dirt? No, I don't want to buy it. But they did buy these lots with the intention of either building or selling it to somebody that wanted to build.
Sure.
It seems just common sense, not legalese and getting into the depth of this. It seems unfair to just change the rules midstream, just to say, good, the rules have changed, we said so, you're screwed, have a nice day.
But this conversation went on 25 years ago? When
But-
did
but-
we do all
but-
those, when did we do all those swap lots?
But
We've been through major things in
I understand that.
everywhere, with swap lots and unbuildable lots.
But things that are unfair, are
Mhm.
patently unfair, they don't change with time. When something is unfair, and you believe it's unfair, and then time goes by and say, well, we changed it, it doesn't make it not unfair, even though it was done.
I'll give you, we can have a moral argument on this, but
Well,
this happens in zoning all the time.
But it doesn't make it right. In the argument in the South was,
No.
slavery's legal, we're not doing anything illegal. It didn't make it right, it made it legal or illegal.
This isn't,
Right and wrong.
Well, this is a fun
this
moral
isn't the
argument,
end
but
of
it's not what we
it.
do.
This is just one step in the process. And we have, excuse me, Judy?
Well, this section 2.8, or whatever it is, was part of our zoning in order to get the zoning passed originally, because there were a lot of lots that were substandard.
Yep.
And it was passed so that some of these lots may be built on with setback reductions. But it was considered that a 15% setback reduction was the maximum setback that could see. Most towns, the planning board is not allowed to do this.
Right.
But because we have this in our zoning, the planning board in Waterboro is probably unique in the whole state. And the maximum setback reduction is about 15%. And this is way over that. So I feel that we can't do this because of that.
Right, I understand that. I'm just standing up here saying, I think we're all in agreement that they did change the rules midstream. We're in agreement it's unfair, and I understand what you're saying. It goes on all the time. It doesn't make it right. And it seems like you people have more of a voice than I do, because you're involved in this, that to stand up and say, you know what? Kid that was up there was right. It's unfair. Now, whether it goes on and it's legal, that's another question.
But we get to enforce the zoning regulations of the town of Waterboro. We don't
Well,
get to stand up and
I
say
understand that.
if it's fair or not.
But I would assume, I would think that you have more of a voice than I do to say to somebody came in there and pointed out it was unfair, and we had a hard time disagreeing with them. Not that we, meaning you, can change that, but we think that as people in this community, we need to discuss that. Because again, the argument for slavery in the South was, but it's legal. Well, it didn't make it right.
We get to toss it to
I'd
the
like to
zoning
move
board of
ahead with
appeals.
the vote.
I gotta say one more thing first, if I could.
Sure.
There's a motion on the table right now to go to zoning board of appeals.
That's been
Zoning
seconded.
board of appeals has a definite set of criteria that they will follow to determine your
Okay.
case. And that's what I would advise you to do. They have different types of variances, and you can check with them. You know, it's, I guess,
What you're saying is the landowner's responsibility to keep up with the current zoning laws to determine if their land is.
I think we've gone past the point of discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion from the board?
To go to ZBA.
Well, we're refusing, we are
All right.
refusing the setback reduction.
yeah.
That means it goes to the ZBA.
Right. All in
Well,
favor?
that's-
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for the time.
Can I know that my next step?
ZBA.
ZBA,
Yeah.
Zoning Board of Appeals.
You know, this ruling makes this a hardship at this point.
No.
No, this ruling gives you the opportunity to go see ZBA and see if they can help you out. They have different options than we do.
It would be their determination.
Yeah. You do want to get your numbers right, and I'll tell you right now, they will ask you about the foundation size and roof
Yeah.
size and everything else.
Yeah, and setbacks are generally measured from rip lines and
Rip
not
lines, yes.
foundations. So if you got a 24-foot building, you've got however much overhang you've got, and I don't know which way the roof is
Well,
going.
the land is on a puddle, basically, you know, I mean, and it's on a hill, so the 100-year flood mark is inapplicable because it's 30 feet above Lake Arrowhead at that point, you know? So, I mean,
But that would be an argument with
I don't know if
Soccer River
people
Corridor.
walked out and saw it, it's not like, you know, I'm gonna be 5 feet from the water, I'm still gonna be up.
That will still not be after the, that would be Soccer River Corridor, so.
May I ask a question? Now, can he modify the structure and still meet the guidelines?
And meet the guidelines?
I mean,
No,
what if he
no.
had like
It'll be,
a,
it'll be narrower than the trailer.
The building window, if you took 40 feet from the street and 100 feet from the lake, you can't, there's no place to build. Zero. So he needs a setback. And that's why I think it's a hardship variance. That's what I personally think.
I think so, too. Bought it before
The ZBA.
the water change, the water line change.
Water setback.
Good luck.
Yes, they can reduce the water setback. Yeah.
But they have to do it with Saco River, right?
Right.
They have to work with Saco River, or?
He would have to go
Have to go to Saco River.
with whatever setback the ZBA granted.
Do we have the minutes of? I should look first and then ask. Oh, look here. So we have the minutes of July 17th. I think everyone was here except for Judy and Frank.
I was not here for that one.
No. So that's Dwayne, me, and Andy. You were here for that meeting. Any comments on the minutes?
No, I remember this, we're good.
Motion to approve?
Second. It's,
All those in
It's
favor?
fine.
Andy?
Andy, you were with us?
I was with it, yeah, it's fine.
To approve.
Yep.
Okay.
Then we have an MMA flyer for a workshop, October 17th, at the Augusta Civic Center.
No, it's in Saco.
Oh, all right.
No. Yes, Saco.
Saco?
Yeah. Thursday, October 17th, Ramada Inn in
Oh,
Saco.
that's their address. All right, I got it. Anyone interested? See Tina?
Yep.
Anybody, you don't happen to know what day it falls on? What day of the week?
Wednesday, March 13th.
Okay, we got October 17th, which is a Thursday. Let me see what time. I guess we got some time to hash that out.
We had a couple things from the town planner. Digital plan requirements and site plan review.
In the packet that Tina put together for you, the first one is the digital plan requirements. This comes about as a result of a couple things. One is the town getting a little bit closer to geographic information systems. In fact, there was a training session that was held, what was the date on that, Tina? Do you recall? Last Tuesday. And the Sewell Company came down, they had a training session, Frank attended, Tina, some other staff people, Mark was there, the assessor was there, I was there, our town administrator came for part of it. And just sort of get your feet wet for those who aren't familiar with GIS, and also what City Map, which is the provider through Sewell Company for our GIS system. And then, so over the years, we've been talking about having digital plan requirements, because every time a subdivision, a site plan, or anything comes in, if it's set up with a proper requirement system, then all we have to do is take the CD, give it to Sewell Company, and they pop it in, and we clean up all the maps and all the layers of which the subdivision or site plan is applicable. For example, there's a site plan that's, or a subdivision that's forthcoming. I'll blend it in with my sort of planner's update. the Carpenter Estate up in the northwest corner of the town is forthcoming. It's a 100-acre plus subdivision of some large lots. If these requirements are approved by the planning board, then the surveyor and engineering company will comply with all these requirements, of which most of them do anyways. Okay, this is kind of standard operating procedure for most engineers and surveyors anyways. It's also linked into the way that the state GIS system does business. So at any point, we'd have compatibility with the state GIS system, all survey and engineering data that would come in, and it would just really help technically facilitate bringing our maps up to snuff, which is it's a slow sort of one at a time, lot at a time, subdivision at a time process. So it's something I think that would be really quite beneficial. There are a few communities in the state of Maine, quite a few communities in New Hampshire and Massachusetts that use similar type standards. Frank made the recommendation at the training session that we also take the draft that I had prepared at a prior session and have the Sewell Company take a look at it. And so under Frank's recommendation, we did send that to them, and they made a couple recommendations that you see highlighted in yellow. They also were quite supportive of having this type of ordinance for the community. The question that sometimes surfaces, does this add an extra burden for developers or applicants? Not for surveyors or engineers that are doing work on site plans or subdivisions, because this is basically how they do business. And then we have to just apply some common sense as to if we had a small business person coming in who was just doing an addition, a storage unit, 1,000 square feet to the back of their building, what type of, we just apply some common sense there. So what you have before you is there's several eyes that have gone over it. I feel very comfortable with it. There's a couple people on the board that are high-tech people, so that, I'm sure the board has looked at it. And it gets us a step in the right direction.
Is it more of a procedural thing? We wouldn't have to do it like it was an ordinance update. The board would just approve this
Yeah, if the board approves it, then it's basically just the...
like an operational thing and not part of an ordinance.
Yeah, it's the thing that basically the town planner would work with when an applicant comes
Okay.
in. So I sit down and, for example, I'm working with corner post surveyors out in Wells on this particular estate plan. Okay, so when I sit down with Fran, I would put this in her hands and say, this is what we need, because we want to take this, all your data, and then once the subdivision is approved, boop, 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 get it into our GIS system.
So we would just add this to our checklist?
We can add it to the checklist, and also it really should become part and parcel of your ordinance.
Yeah.
The thing is, how far do you want to stretch this? I would suggest at a minimum for subdivisions and site plans. In some communities, they take it even one step further. The town of Waterboro hasn't always asked for construction as-built, particularly on road as-built, but typically this is used in as-built applications too, so that if a road that is intended to be public but is private, and they come to the town, they say, we want this to be a public road, then again, all that data, that engineering data, is tied into it as an as-built. But I think for the purposes of subdivision and site plans, this would be quite good. And I haven't said any prescription in here as to how do you handle the small business person. My answer to that is just common sense.
Just
Well,
waiver.
if we pass the other part of the ordinance where we change major minor, then you and the code officer would decide on the minor ones whether,
Exactly.
and then the major ones, well, yeah, they need that.
And you could waive that requirement.
And we
At a
could,
written request.
we have a form that we're going to use quite diligently that the board has approved, that the waiver request form. So we keep track of of everything that's a requested waiver and/or granted or denied waiver. Judy?
Do we have all of this information for all of our town roads? To go on the GIS or not?
No.
We just have a rough road map, right? So-
What we,
We have an unofficial roadmap.
Yeah.
you like that, Frank? No, that wasn't my doing. Now, I want you all to hear this, I want it documented, okay? Tom Ursha didn't want to put unofficial street map, because I'm a firm believer that every town needs an official street map, recorded in the registry of deeds, and it's official. It was the request of the road review committee to label this as unofficial because they feel they need to do some more work
Fine tuning.
with the roads. Yeah, fine tuning, thank you. That's,
Gonna measure them again.
Yeah.
they're working in the fine tuning aspect of it.
What do you think of that as a builder, Andy? Is that like a hardship
I
for you?
really don't know, no, I don't really think it's a problem. From talking to my surveys, most everything is done on this kind of format anyway.
Yeah.
So I had this discussion with my surveyors back 4 or 5 years ago when we were presenting, well, in 2011.
The first time.
If we had to submit this in digital format.
They
and
don't even blink.
His response to me was, what format do they want?
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yep.
it's
Definitely.
so they can work with all this stuff. Anyone that's dealing with Portland and some of the bigger towns has been dealing with this stuff, and this is probably the way they'd like to do it anyway. Instead of making all these paper copies, they're sending down
Yep.
something you can
Yeah.
print out. So I didn't see a problem with it. I didn't see a problem with it at all. I thought it was well done. I don't know a lot about it, quite frankly. For me, I don't know a lot about it.
Well, it's got
I think
a couple
it
of
covers what we need, and I like the idea that you bring it by Sewell, and Sewell looked at it, and based on what I know of Sewell and their GIS, I think we're in good hands.
Well, again, that
So
was-
I feel very comfortable with it.
Thanks to Frank, he had recommended that, and that would probably
Yeah, a
be
good
right
idea.
over my head. But, you know, it may look technical, but it's really not. It's just, it has the techie terms in there that all surveyors, engineers, and planners are familiar with. So I think it's been really quite
Are
workable.
we ready to vote on this tonight? Any reason why we can't?
Sure.
Is there a motion to accept?
I'll
To
make a
add
motion to accept.
Frank?
Because you know what you're talking about.
You what?
Because you know
Because
what
you
you
know what you're
do.
talking about.
But this is, it's
I
really
understand what's
nothing,
going
it's not
on.
rocket,
No,
it's not rocket science.
yeah,
This is,
it
this
is.
is, well, if you're not computer illiterate at all, it might be a few of the terms, but this was taken right out of either Saco or Biddeford's or one of them. Most of it came right up and out of them.
Wrong.
It's, huh?
It did not. It didn't come from either of them.
Well, a good part of that is identical to
Well, you must have copied mine.
Wells, Agunquit, Biddeford, Saco. I mean, this is not
Well,
uncommon.
you started in 2008, so I think
It's,
well documented.
there's only so much you can say about this, so the terminology is going to virtually look almost identical in all municipalities
Yep.
because, you know, it's the same references, horizontal data and
The
vertical
idea,
data
the idea
always the
is
same.
to be compatible with the state and to be, certainly be compatible with our own GIS program they're putting in.
exactly. That's all it's,
You know,
in layman's terms.
If this is gonna become part of our zoning, do we need to change, like site plan and subdivision, to refer to this?
Yes, there should be some sort of cross-reference
And with the roads, someday we hope to have all our roads on this. I don't
You and
know.
I won't be here,
I
Judy.
don't even think you can get Route 5, but,
So there's not a lot of faith in that, is
That
there?
would be the goal.
Judy, it's
but what I'm saying is if someone does a subdivision and they're doing all this, wouldn't the road be included?
In the road, in the subdivision?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that any road, like any new road that would become, that they think before it would become a town road, shouldn't it be, have this done to it, whatever?
I think what you
mumbo
got
jumbo
confused
it
with Tom's
takes?
statement was that he said an as-built road.
Yeah.
So if you come in with a subdivision, you do a subdivision, you'd have that on GIS.
Mm.
But a lot of times a subdivision road isn't built the way it's supposed to be built. It's it's modified because of ledge or high water. or
What you're allowed to
something.
do.
And so some of the towns require that if you modify the road, you submit an as-built.
As built.
As it was
Tom said he
built.
didn't push it to that point to have the as-built submitted,
Oh.
just the actual subdivision.
But we can take it step by step.
Step by step, and the only thing is, two things on Judy's comments. One, you're being right mighty visionary when you suggest it on the streets. It's just gonna take some time. It's good to have the vision, but it's gonna take a little time. First, we gotta get to an official map, and when we get to the official map, then we can take it to that step.
From what our neighbor said, they don't even know where Route 5 is.
Well,
Oh, they don't, that's a good argument. It is, all the way through town. What's the setback,
All
where
the
it
way through the
is.
I
state.
mean, he said there was a pin, which is now missing, and they don't pay any attention to it.
I think it's all part of building that documentation, you know, that when I went to search out some state maps on 202, I went to Scarborough, because you'd expect it to be in the district office, and Scarborough says, no, it's in Augusta. So I go to Augusta, and then I said, well, where's the right-of-way map?
Scarborough.
They said, go see Scarborough. So that helps us on your vision there.
Well, when they start taking my front yard,
The other point that
I
Judy
want
brought
to know
up
where it is.
about, there is absent in this, and we just need to think through how we can cross-reference this. We can put it on a checklist and say, you know, compliance with digital plan requirements. That's one way of doing it. You want to formalize this as being, you know, one of the town ordinances. And then additionally, we could put cross-references in all the ordinances, or tag it by putting another sentence in this one saying this is applicable to all subdivision and site plan review
You
applications.
can make it part of the checklist and
And
everything.
make it part of the checklist. But if you
Good
wish,
idea.
if the board wishes, let Tina, Mark, and I kind of work through the logistics of how we want it, how that will work best, and how it will work best legally, and then we'll just report back to you on it. Does that sound?
I'm good with that.
So we have a motion by Frank to integrate the digital plan requirements into our zoning and ordinances. Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Dwayne. Any more discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to site plan review.
On the site plan review, the board has gone through it on several occasions with some amendments back in 08, 09, and then we did some on September 4th. It was shipped to the town attorney, and then she legalized the ordinance, made some suggestions.
According to
in it.
our wishes.
According to the
Yeah.
board's wishes, and she made some grammatical changes, and I think she's good to go.
I just had one question, and I hate to mess with it now that it's gone this far, but, what is it? On page 4 in section F1 and F2, it's not your intention, say if we do approve this for a minor site plan, to still come to the board for approval, is it? I mean, wouldn't your group be approving that?
For minors, the staff will look at it, but I believe we made the commitment that we still communicate everything to the planning board that we look at. If there's a red flag or a trigger out there that a board member noticed that none of the staff people noticed, that's a good thing, so it's a good checks and balances. That's the full intention of how we're gonna do it.
So this reads correctly, that you would forward that information to us and we would still approve it?
Let's see, how did she word that now?
I'm not sure we have to approve it, we just want to know about it and have the ability,
Well, that's what
and
we
have
want.
the ability to
That's what
say,
we're talking,
whoa,
so
we
that we
do
don't
want it.
shirk our responsibilities.
Yeah,
Well, here it says forward
a great phrase.
the application,
It's a
so.
catchy phrase. It just doesn't sound like that a minor site plan group would be approving.
Yeah, I
The site
think
plan.
that's supposed to
That
be
was
just
my
for the
understanding.
majors.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I didn't see any place in there where it
It
says
doesn't,
that.
it
Where it
doesn't
said-
differentiate.
Where it says that
says
you
minor.
guys would approve
Minor.
the minor plans on your own. It makes it sound like
It's all of them.
You're gonna look at it, but you're gonna send everything ahead.
I see what you're saying.
So that's the only thing to me that,
Do you feel that needs more clarity?
well,
I think
I think
for
so.
the future.
Yeah,
you
I'm
guys-
thinking
that's
when-
what I was
when
thinking.
there's a different group in this room.
That's what we originally started working on this
I mean, in
for.
case the five of us aren't here? Oh, okay.
But just like we talked last time, it doesn't have to be exact. I mean, we can move ahead and fine tune.
I think every time it says application or whatever, it should say major or minor
Or
or
minor.
both.
To make it real clear.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's two ways we can handle it. We can go back and revamp it for one more set of amendments, or the board can choose to approve this and, like with all ordinances.
With those changes.
Yeah, with those changes, or we can tweak it after the first application that comes in.
No.
Just because there
No.
may be other
No.
tweaks. No.
No.
Well, do you need the
Because
legal
we've been
authority?
through, we've
to-
been through those, and you know how that works.
Does this give you the legal authority to approve a minor site plan? That's what I'm wondering.
Not with total clarity.
No.
Isn't that what we set up?
I know it's come this far. I hate to say anything at the last minute, but
I think you're
No,
right.
you
though,
don't.
Tim.
You love to.
Isn't that what we set out originally? That's what this was all
That was one of our,
about.
Other than-
goals. was to
other
try
than
to-
that, I think it's great.
so
I
what we-
agree, but it needs to be some definitions that you guys can just handle the minors.
I think we should take the time to
Clarify.
make it
We do that.
clear, and we can resend it to them and resend it to Natalie with our
Yeah.
next changes.
How about if the staff,
And just as a by-the-by, I don't have anything for the next planning board meeting, so we can make that a workshop to do this if you want.
But then we wouldn't be able to vote.
Vote on it. Yeah, we don't want to do that.
yeah,
Although, I don't know if
That
it's
should be,
both
that
right.
should not be a major change.
no. Let us, the staff, just kind of come up with the right language. And I think for convenience, we ship it right to Natalie, and then you have everybody's eyes
That
on
sounds
it.
like
And we'll have it for the next meeting, and we can do it.
I'm good with.
Yeah,
I
we would pick it up in October sometime.
Yep.
I wasn't here at the last meeting when this got looked at. I am pleased with the way it all came out,
But
but I'll tell you what I'm really
I'm not
pleased
ready
about.
yet.
I'm really pleased about number 3, section C, where they took out, be assessed for the privilege of review.
Yeah.
They crossed it out of the orders. That tickles me to death. But the only thing that I did find is on the very last page, and I'm not sure if we just want to clarify that. It says expiration of site plan approval. That's on page 8. At the end of that paragraph, it says substantial start shall mean the completion of a foundation, addition, or other work as determined by the code enforcement officer to be substantially equivalent to a foundation or addition in light of the nature of a specific project. This is just, I find, a very vague definition.
we quite clearly threw that back to the code enforcement officer.
Okay, well, I find that the definition isn't very good, in my opinion,
See,
as to what it
this
is.
is, if you look
Second
at
thing is that it's a definition, so why is it being in that paragraph? We ought to have that under definitions
Natalie's the
as to
one
what
who,
substantial
we had it
start
on
is.
the last page. He took it off the last page and moved it to there. And it
I'm
just
saying
kinda
that that's
got-
the only thing I didn't like about
really
the whole thing that I
hurtful.
read.
Is where this is
He was a
located.
town
that?
attorney, switch over.
So I'm not sure if we want to look at that again.
I'm not sure what we can do with it, because Mark's looked at it, he's given his recommendation.
Shouldn't
Natalie-
the substantial start at least be the definition part?
Because the proposal was simpler than that. She,
Because there's no definition of
Elaborate.
substantial start. The next page is definitions, and if you look at substantial start, there isn't a definition of substantial start.
Well, I believe it was Natalie's thinking that it needed to be under administration, and that's why she shifted the expiry of the plan, you see on page 8, okay, and took it out of the definition section because she felt it was more of an administrative type thing that needed to fall in that category.
That's the only section that I have a problem with, when it starts saying wording like addition or other work determined by the code enforcement officer. That in English to me reads, if he likes you, if he doesn't. That's how I read that.
I think that came
that's what
after
Mark
about
proposed
20
right
minutes of
there.
discussion where we decided that it needed to be thrown back to the code enforcement officer because it was an area where he could have some
but
judgment.
that's what he sent out, and this is what we got back from the town attorney.
See,
I'm
Andy,
not blaming anybody, I'm just saying
Yeah.
I don't like the definition, that's all.
Andy, the board had sent it to Mark, and Mark came up with that language, and
Yeah.
that's how we arrived at
I'm
that.
just saying I don't like the language.
Right.
You'll have to take that up with Mark,
Well, it's not even him, it's the town attorney. 'Cause we had,
because she shifted. Well, he came up with some language, and then it moved from definitions to administration. And
Because it was a little wishy-washy.
I
We
think
didn't
as
make
long
it
as
clear.
it's
We
there.
I see
didn't
what
make
you're
it clear
saying,
cut.
Andy, as determined by the code enforcement officer, he could determine that that's good enough over there, but it needs more over here.
But that could happen anytime. I mean,
Yep.
someone like that can
Shouldn't there be a percentage of the build, or shouldn't we have some definites on what a substantial start is?
Well, if we're gonna change that, we need to have a workshop on it, because that was an in-depth discussion last time, trying to come down, pinning it down to percentages and specifics and covering everything. We were suddenly gonna come up with a whole page full of stuff.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna do that, I want a workshop.
if you're gonna do it, you're gonna need to have Mark here.
Yep.
Okay, because
Correct.
it always falls back in the CEO's lap.
Yep.
And so,
Well, actually,
Is-
Well, we
if
have
we
his
make-
recommendation.
Is he happy with this
This is what he
statement?
gave us last time.
he is.
Yeah.
Mark is.
But Andy's saying, you know, what happens in the situation when someone has a bad day. Well, Mark always has a happy day, so you're
You know, Mark won't always be here.
so, well,
I mean,
I just, you know.
I can't really
just
say
hate-
much more.
I just hate vague language. Say what you mean and mean what you say. When you start saying,
Well, this is a
as
timeline.
determined by,
No, but it goes on about it.
leaves it all up to,
I think before that. too,
And
it says
I think
about,
if you're gonna do that, we need to have a
substantial
workshop, and if
yeah,
you're
but
gonna
it
start
doesn't
doing
really say what substantial
definitions
completion
in
is.
there, then we really need a workshop.
completion. It says
And
foundation.
we probably need Natalie in here.
and I'm not trying to put a kink in the works. I like the fact that it's done, like I say, it's the last page, we did find it, the last page. And when I saw the definition, I said, that, to me, that's not a very good definition. It's not even under the
Additional
definitions.
foundation addition.
Now we have definitions in the actual
Evidence
article,
satisfactory to the planning
which I
department.
understand is
It's
trying to
kinda the same thing.
clarify it by putting it there where it belongs.
thing with different person
But
looking
if
at
you
it.
have a definition, you're putting the word definition of what substantial start is in the paragraph. So if you're looking for the definition and you don't know where that language is, you're not gonna find it in the definitions. You're gonna find it in the last paragraph of the ordinance. It should be at least in the definitions. And then it becomes embarrassing if that's what you have for a definition for.
But you have to have
my
it here.
it
Because
has
it-
to be administration.
It has to be in administration, and why would you have it twice?
I think what Andy's saying is a further clarification of what substantial means.
I agree, it needs to be clean cut.
And if you want, if the board, so that the board's, I love seeing a board that has 100% consensus. There's no prices to approve this tonight. If you feel you need one more go around on it, we definitely want to have Mark here. to
Well, I
talk
think
through
if we're gonna do that and have a workshop, somebody
The
needs to
reason
do
I
a
was
lot, we need to do a lot of legwork, because when we got into specifics about what's considered percentage of completion, it suddenly took on a different light, so we're suddenly gonna end up with a couple pages in here.
So we're always gonna have issues with it when we have an applicant, because whenever we went to a town
Yeah.
and we had issues, we say, okay, well, what did the definition say? We go back to the definitions. In this case, you don't even have it in the definitions.
Okay, no, I'll go along with it, but I'm just
It's
saying, and let's clarify it and do it now, but let's do it right, once again, let's do a
How many times you
workshop.
go back, let's go back and look at what they define as a road, what they define as a water course, what they define as this, and you read the definition, and sometimes it's not what you think it would be.
Yep.
And it's either working for you or working against you. And you
See-
can really tangle up an application
With no clarity.
The
with no clarity.
town of Waterboro, vis-à-vis the planning board, can determine how specific you want to be on substantial start, okay? And if you want to build some clarity to that, we can do a couple things. One, get Mark's opinion again. You can always look at what other communities are doing, whether that's right or not.
I think that's where we got this. It's another town's ordinance.
Well,
I
the
think.
thing
so.
is,
What-
that's really serious too. If you've got a lousy definition of
Absolutely.
substantial start, the whole project is gone and they're gonna start over. They're not gonna be happy if
No.
their idea of a substantial start is decidedly
Some
different than what
communities, there's a whole variety of ways. Some communities still do it the old-fashioned way, say you get the foundation and that's considered a substantial start. Other communities that are even more advanced say foundation plus a certain percentage of the project value. So then you get into that tricky part, or someone's gonna have to go out there and do some
Well,
calculations.
project value could be.
Well,
what,
okay,
they're
I mean,
doing a
if that's what we get into,
subdivision.
that's what we get into,
But I'm just saying,
that we need, if they really want that defined as a clear-cut definition, then that's what we gotta do.
so, you just make it as defined as you need it to be. And in essence, that makes the CEO's job even easier. I mean, this
Oh,
is,
that's what I was gonna go for.
right?
clearing it.
Are we gonna do anything to warn people that their time is coming to
Yes.
a close?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
so
believe that was in
we
the
did bring
original.
would the
ordinance.
code
Natalie didn't
enforcement
take that off of here.
officer
No, it's
at
still
that
there.
time look
I think it
at
was
the
taken out.
project?
I think we,
We have alarm system.
Yeah, I
yeah,
know
we
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 did.
did dump that on the code
But
enforcement
what I'm saying
office.
is, would the code enforcement officer look at it and say, no, that's not a substantial start, or,
It's the only person
I
that
think
can.
that's the
Yeah.
idea.
That's
Yeah.
what we're trying to get clear.
It'd have to be.
so
the
you
city.
really can't, I don't see how you can define and cover every case.
It takes some multiple pages, that's what we
It's
just, I
gonna
think we
take a
discovered.
book.
Yep, so if that's okay, if we need to clarify it, let's clarify
But
it.
if we're
But
gonna
if
have
it
another.
do it now.
If it says as determined by the code enforcement officer, can you go out and take a look at it and say, okay, you're gonna expire, and I don't consider this,
That's exactly what we're trying to avoid. There's always.
but I don't
body
think you
plan.
can, I just,
Well, if we put a percentage of the project, say we got a guy's putting in a subdivision, it's all one project, right? If he puts up one foundation out of 10, is that a substantial start? Where you got a guy who's building just one house.
They're not always foundations, is what the problem
Well,
is.
my point is a percentage of a project. What's a project? If you got one guy building one house, then if we picked a percentage, okay, the foundation would count. But if you got a guy who wants to put up a subdivision, and all he put up was
But
one
before we toss this
foundation,
back to
he
Natalie, I
didn't
think
meet the
we ought to get
criteria of a
this one done,
certain
so we just
percentage
toss it
of
back
that
once.
project.
No.
But if we're
While
gonna have
we're
a-
at it, we all probably ought to add the digital stuff right in here instead of redoing this ordinance again.
Do it all at once.
Sure.
Well, we'll attempt to do
So
one
we're gonna have
clean
a
sweep.
workshop
But
about
I
Workshop?
think you probably want to have a workshop with Mark to
if he's
clear up that
available,
part.
yeah.
Okay? And
We'll
just
talk about the
take
legal
home with
authority.
you tonight, how much detail you want to put in it, because these are really project specific. And let me give you a couple illustrations. If you're putting up a single footprint condo building, it's different than putting up a single footprint apartment building, different than putting up a hotel, different than putting up a radio shack.
Correct.
Different
Yep,
than,
yep.
I mean, all these have different components to
These are
them.
Well,
just-
that's
What if,
fine.
what if you're building on grade? Where's your foundation there? Is it a frost wall with a slab?
That's right. See,
Is
that's
that a
another,
substantial
Yeah.
start?
Well,
that's-
could we
that's
cover
right.
something like blanketed with a certain
There
percentage?
has to be a
of-
lot of ordinances out there that we can look at.
Well, what we could do is, the three of us will start searching, and you can take one more look at how other communities have done it. This is the most popular
Why
way.
don't we go to the certified Maine business friendly community, see how they do it?
Yes.
I'm afraid their definition would be a bit bashful.
You think?
That's my
Let
guess.
them build.
You remember Don Quixote?
Yes.
I didn't mean to get this all.
Do that kind of answer.
Well,
Andy,
we're gonna have
actually,
a-
it's a very good point, and I agree with you.
If we're gonna have a workshop anyway.
Yeah.
So,
We can look at that and we can look at,
Because I think the document is great. I just had a problem with that last paragraph. I mean, I didn't mean to get this all tabled off for a month.
No,
Get into
I'd rather
pages
clarify
and
it now
pages,
than have it
pages
not
and
be
pages. I was
clear,
thinking
so.
more on a definition of, he has to have $10,000 invested in it, or he has to have an active building permit. Actual construction on things, just some kind of vague, not a vague language, but specific language as to either he's got this or he doesn't have that. And it could be simple as
Showing
he has a
intent.
building permit in place and there's signs of construction. That's substantial start. He's got a building permit, he signs of construction. So if you never take out the building permit, you never start, it expires. But if you have the building permit and you show starts of construction, because we've dealt with it just in towns before, Dayton, Lyman, what is substantial start? I mean, cut the trees, that's a substantial start.
Yeah.
So you cut the trees. Now that building inspector is gone, you got a new building inspector, and he said, your permit's expired. I said, what do you mean? I did substantial start. Cutting the trees ain't substantial start. Having a foundation in the ground is substantial start. And that's why I have a problem with this vague language.
Thank you.
Because I've been there and I've seen it, and it's like, it's a real killer for someone doing something in town.
It's a good point. Staff people change over time, and
and
everybody
that's
has
what
a
we
different
originally
reading.
set out to do here, was to make sure that
Sure.
over the years, whoever follows us is got a
all right,
straight
so
arrow.
we'll take that up at the workshop.
Work on it.
Okay.
Yeah, easy enough.
One thing on our checklist, I've added to the checklist, I don't want to lose track of, is Frank mentioned bulk gas storage. And I think just because that's not in the news like it was, we should add that to the checklist and start looking at different ordinances.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, it's bound to
I think
come our way sooner
you
or
were,
later.
did you get to that meeting?
Sidebar.
Yeah.
Does Slimmer have one?
Well, I think there are overlapping jurisdictions of the state, you know, fire codes and everything. It's just something we should look at
It was
before
up
we
to the
get
court
caught,
administrator's
like they did in
discretion.
Limerick. At least find out something about it. And I guess Dwayne has a report on the road subdivision.
Yeah, what it's come down to is both ordinance in place have really good information and they're well put together. And what one has, the other one doesn't. So we're just gonna leave them alone. As far as conflicting information, we'd like to put something in place that if it comes up and there's a conflict of interest between these two documents, the newer one will take precedence. And it should be as simple as that. To pull them apart after, if you really look through them, they're well put together as they are. And there's so much into it with so many different roads and different traffic and, you know, different styles. So to leave them in place and just deal with if there's a conflict between these two documents and let it go at that. That way we don't get, well, this one says this and this one says that, and we got a guy standing in front of us going, we just get some clarity going, well, the newer one, what's the newer one say? That's what you go by.
Tina?
You had asked me to contact Road Review and Doug to set up a workshop, and they tentatively scheduled it for October 16th, but I haven't heard anything.
All right.
And basically, that was to review all that stuff to see if everybody was
Well,
on
all
the
right,
same
then.
page as far as all that went.
Yeah, I think that, because originally I was looking to make some changes, but after really digging into it, whoever had put those together knew what they were doing. And
I think a lot of
there's
that
good in both of them.
That would be Doug for a lot of that.
So I guess
Right.
we just want to maybe hear from Doug about saying, well, if they conflict, let's just move to the newest one or the oldest one. Let's refer to one or the other. And I'm good with that. Because the quality control that I was concerned about, that's in there as well. Apparently, in 2011, you guys had put up a bond agreement. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Yes.
the planning board has a new bonding requirement.
So,
But part of it is that there's language about the bonding requirement in the subdivision ordinance, there's language about the bonding in the street design ordinance, and we passed in 2011 a new performance bond standard for the town. So we have 3 different standards floating around town. So what one takes precedent? The latest one should take precedent.
The newest
We should
one.
clarify that somehow to make all the other 2 either read that way, all 3 ordinances read the same way, or have the other 2 ordinances
refer to
refer to the
the newer
bonding
one.
paperwork that we had done. Because we
There's
had
a pro-
passed a new performance bond. I think everybody remembers that.
Yeah. So we should use the most recent one and everything
Yeah,
that
well,
we
we
do.
passed the most recent performance bond because there was already stuff in the land use ordinance as far as performance bond, and there's also stuff in the street design ordinance as far as performance bond. And there's other things that duplicate like that too. We gotta clarify on on what one we're gonna use, because each ordinance has its own and they overlap into each other. So when
Well, the
Dwayne
conflict.
Dwayne came over, we were kind of looking at the ones that were obvious, and one of them was a performance bond. And Dwayne's gonna look through there some more to see if he can find some others that overlap into each other to find out what we're gonna go with.
So if we make changes to the site plan, make changes to the docks, I mean, we'll be changing our ordinance book, won't we? I mean, making some alterations there. Maybe what we can do is just do everything at once and do something like that. Have one bonding and have the other sections refer to that.
Correct.
And just do everything at once when we get to that point.
On the 2 older ordinances, one particularly the road review design standards, it's simply just a sentence change, taking out the old and cross-referencing it to the most recent performance bond. So
Yep.
just use some
That's
canned
what I'm
language
thinking.
and cross-reference. So take out the old language and make it very clear again that it's cross-referenced to the
Newer one.
newest
Exactly.
performance.
So although
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
take
good with
this off the checklist as we move ahead when we change the book, we'll make this change also.
We just keep those in a particular file that we have to make those changes, because there might be others for cross-referencing, do them all at once.
Yeah, I think that's a nice, simple, fair way of moving this forward and not having it confusing.
So other than that, you're happy to
Yeah.
check this off the list?
Absolutely. So, let me dig into it a little more, we'll get some wordage, but you can cut it for now, and we'll bring it back up when I'm ready.
Did you still want to have the road commissioner here for the 16th?
No, I can run the Doug around town and just see what his opinion is. Is there any conflict of interest if I do that? Talk to him just when I see him at the coffee shop?
I think
Or should we have him?
He's not the whole committee. he's just
That's
one person.
information gathering.
Okay,
Nothing
fine.
wrong with that.
Yeah, no, I'll just hit Doug up and tell him what I'm thinking of doing and see what he says.
So for the 16th, tentatively, you might see the Carpenter Estate sketch plan or preliminary plan, if they have enough time to put all that together.
Yep. Yeah, Pat made the chili contest.
So that, and the second will be our workshop. Tina, that's our
Is that
October 2nd.
Helen's Land?
Mm-hmm. I guess your children
They're
want to
gonna,
build.
the grandchildren are going to
grandchildren.
keep the farmhouse
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I believe the chicken coops for some particular reason across the street. And then they're subdividing the rest of it.
And are they selling out of the family?
Pardon me?
Are they, those subdivided lots, are they going to be family members?
Don't know that yet.
They keep in the store?
Don't know that yet.
Should be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting subdivision. Large lot subdivision.
Yeah. It's way out there.
Hey, my favorite word.
Large lots.
Section 8?
Oh, subdivision. Yeah, those
Don't
two.
get him going.
Yeah, right. Okay, wait, we got a whole other discussion.
Give each one a lot or something?
Yeah, I think most of them have a lot, but I think it's on the other side of the road, not
I was up there and they had it pegged off on the same side as the farmhouse is,
Did you have anything you wanted to bring up, Dave?
no.
which is pretty much where I wanted my snowmobile path to go right through, but I guess that's off the table now.
We could buy one a lot.
Yeah, there you
Don't
go.
think I thought about it.
You gotta
Anything?
talk to them when they do this, they might.
As long as I can get right down to the Sawmill Pond.
Do you have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
He's going right to the second.
Motion first.
I'll make the motion.
All right.
Rake's gonna second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor? Thank you, Dave.